Harvard is having a very, very bad start to the new year here. If you've been watching, our channel recently and you've been paying attention, I've talked a lot about my firsthand experience in higher education, the abomination that higher education has become. I'll leave links to everything at the end of this video. You've got to go check out some of the things we've been talking about and catch up on this stuff. The catastrophe that is Harvard University and the treatment of Claudine Gay, the special preferential treatment, mind you, and her very, very insincere unapologetic resignation letter. Everything that's been happening at Harvard has been, all of this stuff has been brand new. What I'm going to talk about today is the fact that the ideologies of DEI, the philosophy of higher education has been something that has been developing, has strategically, deliberately been something that they've been trying to indoctrinate our kids with for years and years and years. This is nothing new. I have an article I'm going to share with you that was written in 2002 that is something that I think if the roles were reversed, it would be on national news. You don't see this stuff anywhere. You don't see this stuff on major mainstream legacy media. You just don't see it. But if the roles were reversed, I guarantee you would see this. And so I want to talk about this. I want to share this with you because this is emblematic of what's been happening all over higher education. I'm going to get more into that in just a little bit, but let's look at the article. So this is an article that was written in Harvard Magazine. You can see it there, and I'll leave a link in the description and in the pinned comment as well. This was an article that was written back in October of 2002, over 20 years ago. And the title, as you can see right there, Abolish the White Race. I want to kind of go through this article very briefly, but ask yourself this question. Would an article like this, titled Abolish the, dare I say, Latino race, abolish the trans LGBTQ race or ideology or group of people or anything other than white. Imagine if it was abolish the black race. Do you think that this would be something that would be allowed? Not only, never mind today, or never mind 20 years ago, but imagine if this was written today. This article is something that is so alarming because, again, it is emblematic of an ideology. It is emblematic of a philosophy that higher education indoctrinates our young people with. If you are white, you are evil. But this is just the beginning. Listen to this. So I'll leave the entire article for you, but the good news is there are now a host of writers and a growing number of courses and workshops designed to enlighten white people. Yeah, you read that right. Enlighten white people to the real benefits. I mean, can you believe this? And the great cost of their property in whiteness. Now, this was not written by a student, writes former Harvard law professor Derek Bell. This is not a student. This is not a naive, impressionable 19-year-old. This is a Harvard law professor, one of the most prestigious institutions of higher education in the entire land, who is writing to this. I want to just go down to the excerpt that really, if you look at the title and the thumbnail, this will make a lot more sense. But this, to me, is where it really gets interesting. Right here. I want to read this. Every group within white America has at one time or another advanced its particular and narrowly defined interests at the expense of black people as a race. Every group. Every is not a particular sect of egregious, bigoted people that happen to be white, which I know I'm not denying there is a ton of people. I mean, there's a ton of people who aren't white, who are completely bigoted, completely narrow-minded, myopic, unintelligent, uneducated, and judge people by something that is completely out of their control, like the color of their skin or their heritage. There's no doubt about that. But then to lump every group within white America, every group, that applies to labor unionists, ethnic groups, college students, etc., etc. Race Trader will not, listen to this. This is really scary. Race Trader will not abandon its focus on whiteness, no matter how vehement the pleas and how virtuously oppressed those doing the pleading. The editors meant it when they replied, "Make no mistake about it, we intend to keep bashing dead white males and the live ones, not just dead ones, and the live ones. You and me, essentially. And the females too. Females, you're not excluded. Oh no, you want to talk about inclusion? You are included. Until the social construct known as the white race is destroyed." Not deconstructed. I mean, they emphasize this. Not deconstructed, but actually destroyed. Now, you might be saying to yourself, social construct of white race? What does that mean? This is just fancy academic talk. Fancy academic talk. So they use this, again, I've talked about this in former videos. They use this empty, dead, vacuous, unanchored in reality language to justify their visceral attempts to mask their narcissism, their starvation for power, and the joy. I mean, there's joy in these words that they feel for denigrating and demeaning a different group of people, a group of people unlike themselves. It's just fancy talk. This is so important to talk about because this aligns with my premise that higher education is absolutely, they have substituted education for indoctrination. They're no longer teaching you how to think, how to be a well-adjusted citizen who's able to use their brain, who's able to exercise critical discernment and critical thinking, which is the ultimate skill, okay? The only thing I want them to teach my kids is reading, writing, and critical thinking. I don't even want them to teach the times table. Anything that Siri can do, I could give two craps. Critical thinking, it's not about teaching them what to think. It's about teaching them how to think, how to look at a problem, how to look at an issue, how to look at a project, how to look at a situation or circumstance. Give it the right context. Look at it from different perspectives. Understand what the intentions are, what the underlying intentions are. What are the different variables involved? Why are they important? Asking questions. Education is not about giving answers. It's about creating more questions. It's about creating a conversation, a dialogue. We used to call this, in our writing classes, in our business writing classes, and our literature courses too, we used to call this interrogating the text. There is no meaning. There is no definitive right or wrong answer. But it's important to ask questions. The more questions you ask, the more you're exercising critical thinking and you're looking at things from a different point of view. That is true critical thinking. Not looking at it from our myopic, self-absorbed, narcissistic viewpoint, but looking at it from multiple viewpoints, which hopefully augments empathy. That's the key to education. Abolish the white race? I mean, this article written by Harvard Magazine not today, over 20 years ago. And I got something else I want to show you too that is emblematic of you want to talk about systemic racism. You want to talk about systemic indoctrination. Check this out. So this was written just literally today in the Harvard Crimson. And the title of this article is Reaping What We Have Taught. And this was literally written today as of this recording. We're recording this January 8th of 2024. You guys are probably going to see this, a couple of days after that, after I edit this. Let's go back now to when Harvard's crisis currently began. Charges of anti-Semitism, why anti-Semitism is a problem. But it surely is not Claudine Gay's fault. It is not because Harvard admits anti-Semitic students or hires anti-Semitic faculty. No one's suggesting this. So there must be some other source of our woes. Unapologetic anti-Semitism, whether the incident, and I'll leave links to all this, by the way, are fewer numbers, is a college phenomenon because of what we teach and how our teachings are exploited by malign actors. Let me zoom in on this because this is really, really important. I want to look at this very carefully. Is a college phenomenon because of what we teach and how our teachings are exploited by malign actors. The Harvard online course catalog has a search box type. Let me get rid of this advertisement here. Has a search box type. Type in decolonize, that word, though surely not the only lens through which to view the current relationship between Europe and the rest of the world, is in the title of 7 courses and the descriptions of 18 more. If you search oppression and liberation, each is in the description of more than 80 courses. More than 80 courses. Social justice is in over 100. White supremacy and enlightenment are neck and neck, both ahead of scientific revolution, but behind intersectionality. Okay, so I just want to stop here and just look at you guys. So what this is basically saying, and by the way, I welcome your comments. I welcome your thoughts. I welcome you to look at the articles yourself and say, Professor Nez, you're wrong. I welcome that. I have an open mind. I'm hoping to God I'm wrong about these institutions, but I don't think I am. And this is why my crusade and my mission is so important to me, my purpose. This is evidence, all of these courses, white supremacy, oppression, decolonize. And I am living proof of this. It's not just the reason this video is so important to me is because I've experienced this in the decades of higher ed that I've taught at multiple universities. I mean, all over the nation, not just in California, all over the nation. I've taught online courses abroad. I have taught for decades, and I've seen this time and time again. There is this phenomenon, as the article states aptly, there is this ideology, this indoctrination that higher education has galvanized and solidified, and they're spewing it onto our children with zero opposition, with zero counterpoint. There is zero counterpoint. It is just white, male, devil, colonizers, racism, oppression. That's it. If you're a person of color, if you're a non-white, you're right. If you're white, you ain't right. This is something that is happening and has been happening for decades. And this is why it's so important that I talk to you and I bring this to you as a parent, as a father. I mean, I am very, very strongly... My wife and I aren't necessarily on the same page on this either. Maybe you and your spouse aren't either. I am extremely open to the idea of my kids not ever stepping foot on one of these campuses. Ever. And I got more videos to talk about that as well. But this has been going on. This has been going on for decades. It's probably longer than you and I could ever imagine. And the question really is why? What is it about this agenda? What is it about this ideology? I mean, education is supposed to be the emblematic symbol of debate, of open-mindedness, of looking at issues with a broad scope and entertaining opposing views and ideas and coming to the table of understanding, coming to the table of communication and understand. But there seems to be a singular vision and a singular purpose with these higher ed institutions. And God forbid, I mean, this is not just higher education. It's bleeding into every artery of education. And the question is why? What is the end game here? What are they trying to achieve? Why are they trying to indoctrinate rather than educate? What do you guys think? I'd love to hear from you. Please let me know in the comments. Check out the articles. I'll leave them in the description and in the pinned comment. Interesting stuff, more to come. I hope you'll stick with us. I'm never going to stop as somebody who is extremely passionate about this subject, because it affects, it affects all of us. The seeds of ideology, you plant those seeds and you're going to reap what you sow. So when it's harvest time, we are going to be raised with a new generation of individuals who think unitarily, who think singularly. And it's because of these indoctrinations that are a big contributing factor in that. They're not open to critical thinking, which is what education should be all about. So this is about the future of our country. It's about the future of our kids. This is about the future of literally the entire human race. What is happening here? So I'd love to hear from you what your thoughts are, what your comments are. Go check out these other videos here. If you've missed them, I promise you won't be disappointed. Thank you for making it this far. I hope to see you soon. Appreciate you, and I'll talk soon.